Hi everybody, Melissa here, and today's practice is called Feeling Fragile. And so this is a practice when you're feeling low, when you feel maybe physically fragile, you're feeling emotionally fragile, where it just feels kind of like everything is on high, like everything is too loud, everything is too bright, and you're just feeling maybe as though you can't really deal with the outside world. And now the idea with this practice is a little different from some of our other approaches when we're kind of experiencing sensory overwhelm. And so instead of just kind of going totally within to do more restorative based postures, we are going to actually work on building a little bit of heat in the body. We're going to do that in a gentle way though, through back bending and moving with our breath. And so this practice is going to be about 30 minutes long. You'll need some blankets for the end of the practice especially. And remember that when you are feeling fragile, you can tap out at any time. Take what is beneficial to you from the practice and let yourself rest if it's not serving you or if it feels like it's too much. Take what you need, take what is feeling like it serves you, and remember that you can always return to your breathing, and that can be enough yoga. And so go ahead and grab your blankets, and we're gonna start by just placing them off to the side, and we're gonna come down onto our bellies so that our forehead is on the floor. And so you have a few options of where you might like to place your arms here. You can stack your forearms one on top of the other and let your forehead rest on your arms. There's a slight back bend in doing so. You can also take your hands beside your hips and turn the cheek of your choice all the way down to the mat if that feels comfortable. I would not recommend that you take your chin down to the mat. That puts quite a bit of strain on the back of the neck. So find one that feels really comfortable and supportive for you. And then focus on letting the muscles of your legs soften and relax. Go ahead and close your eyes if you haven't done so already. And we'll begin to lengthen out our breath a little bit here, noticing our belly pressing into the floor as we inhale and inflate. See if you can allow your body to relax just a little bit more onto the ground below you. Imagining scanning your awareness through your body and observing where there may be tension built up, where you may be able to send the breath and create some more space. Or maybe even noticing where you have no awareness at all. We're going to take 6 more full rounds of breath here. If you have one of your cheeks on the ground, go ahead and maybe switch your cheeks, bringing the opposite to the floor. If you have your forearms stacked, switch the opposite forearm on top and take your forehead back down. Let's breathe deep, focusing on allowing more of our body to rest down onto the floor. Taking one more round. With your next inhale, we're going to slowly lift our head up, taking our forearms now parallel to one another so that our shoulders line up our shoulders line up over our elbows, and our forearms are parallel to one another with our fingers spread nice and wide. And so now check that your shoulders aren't round forward, that your shoulder blades aren't drawn apart. We want to open our chest up and draw the shoulder blades toward one another so that we are lifting through the front of our heart and up through the crown of our head. And now we may feel tight, sore, or tense. And so let's very lovingly and very gently move our head here. Taking a full breath in, and then as you exhale, let's slowly turn to look over our shoulder. Inhaling to slowly come back to center, taking your time moving with purpose. Inhaling at center again, and then exhaling to look over the opposite shoulder. Inhaling back to center, and maybe exhaling your chin to your chest. Again, just taking your time here, moving slowly. Allowing your breath to lead your movement. Inhaling to lift your chin towards the ceiling. Exhaling back to center. And so if you're still feeling good, maybe explore moving your neck slowly in any way that feels interesting or exciting for you. If your arms are starting to fatigue, you can come back down to our crocodile pose with your forearms stacked at any time, or just remain still in your Sphinx pose. Wherever you are, make your way back to center in Sphinx, and we're going to take one more round of breath in. And then as you exhale, go ahead and slowly come back to our crocodile pose. So one arm stacks on top of the other. Forehead comes back to the ground. Let your legs soften. Let your belly press into the earth. See if you can slow your breathing down. Noticing if your heart rate increased during our back bend. With your next inhale, go ahead and lift your head up again so that you're looking forward towards the short end of your mat. Now we're going to extend our arms out here, so make sure that you have enough space so that your arms are extended as well as your legs. We're going to do something called alternating locust pose, and this is just going to be a very gentle breathing exercise with some back bending. And so keeping your vision forward, press your right hand into the earth and your left leg into the earth. Inhale and lift your right leg and left arm just a little ways off the floor, maybe just about 6 inches, not even. Exhale and slowly lower your right leg and left arm. Inhale, lift your left leg and right arm. Not very much, just a little bit here, activating our glutes, lowering down with your exhale. Let's go ahead and do 2 more rounds of that, really slow and smooth. Remember, the limbs that stay on the earth are going to really press actively into the ground. Everything that is lifting is going to actively draw upward. Press into the left arm and the right leg. We're going to inhale, lift your right arm and your left leg. Exhale and slowly come back down. Pressing the right arm and the left leg into the ground, we'll inhale and lift the right leg and the left arm off the earth. Exhale and slowly, mindfully return to the floor. Last one. Left leg lifts, right arm lifts. Exhale down. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale and slowly, mindfully return to the floor. We're going to take our hands back beside our heart here, bringing our fingertips almost into alignment with the tops of our shoulder, and then squeezing our elbows and shoulders towards one another. Pull your belly button towards your back, and we're going to inhale and slowly push, pressing ourselves away from the floor. Slide your knees towards your wrists, taking them about mat width distance apart. And we're going to settle our bottom down onto our heels and extend our arms forward, coming into child's pose. Counterposing all of those back bends, giving our body an opportunity to just melt. In this position, let your head rest heavy on the ground. And if it feels like the ground is too far away and your neck is straining, place something underneath your head to provide support. Take 3 slow rounds of breath here, noticing how your breath may have changed, noticing where you're experiencing movement of the breath, and if it's possible to let go of a little more tension. With your next inhale, push your hands into the floor. You can draw them back towards you, lifting your hips up off of the knees, off of the heels. We're going to draw the knees in towards one another now so that they're about 2 fist width distance apart. And feel free to measure that if you would like. And now we're going to come into low plank here. And so this is going to be our first really heating pose. Not that Sphinx and Locust are not heating, but this one will be extra heating. And so if you know that you are experiencing wrist or elbow or shoulder sensitivity, you can come down onto your forearms to do this position, taking your knees further away so that your hips are at more of a slant, more of a diagonal. If you feel like it would be okay for you to stay on your hands, take your hands underneath your shoulders and stack your elbows over your wrists. We want to keep our hands about shoulder width distance apart, so make sure that they're not too far apart or too close together. And then send your energy out through your fingertips so that your weight isn't resting into the heel of your hand. You want to think about really pressing all the way through all 5 fingers. And now we're going to hold here for a few beats, pressing outward slightly through the arms, lifting our belly button towards our back so that our hips are able to stay neutral in space here, so we don't have our hips too far back and we're not dumping them down forward. There should be no curve in our low back. Let's take another big breath in. As you exhale, slowly press your hands really firm into the floor. We're going to let our hips sink back towards our heels, and your hands can slide back a little bit here as well. So we're going to come back to our child's pose with our knees close together. Inhale again, we're going to lean forward, coming back to our low plank pose. trying to move the entirety of your inhale if that's comfortable. And then exhaling, slowly taking your bottom back towards your heels. And so trying to move your body with your breath. Inhale, slowly coming up, trying to make your breath as long and smooth as possible. Exhaling and slowly pressing yourself back to child's pose. We have 3 more. Go ahead and move at your own pace. You can move faster if your breath needs that. Last round. You can come to your forearms if your wrists are fatiguing. For this last one, slide your hands back beside your hips, letting the palms face towards the earth. Let your forehead come to the floor. Again, if it doesn't quite reach, grab your blanket, bring the floor closer to your forehead. Letting the shoulder blades draw away from one another, your arms really heavy beside you. Take a moment to notice your body. Feel the warmth in your muscles. Feel the strength of your beating heart. Take 3 more full rounds of breath. If you need to, widen your knees if your hips or knees are complaining. With your next inhale, slide your hands back forward. Pressing into the earth, slowly come up to sit. We're going to take just a moment to sit on top of our knees. If our ankles and knees are still happy with that, we'll actually be sitting on our calves. And so sitting upright here, maybe your palms can come open to the tops of your thighs or your hands closed down. Notice if anything has shifted. Closing your eyes and sensing your inner state. When you feel ready, we're going to slowly open our eyes, and coming off of your legs, you can come onto your side. And so we are now actually going to turn towards the long edge of our mat and fully come down onto our side. So you can move your blanket out of the way. We'll need that at the end. We're going to come down so that our left or whichever side you're facing, so your bottom arm, let's say it that way, so that our bottom elbow is underneath our shoulder. And then we're going to extend both legs out here. And imagine as though you were standing on your legs. And so we want our feet to be actively drawn back towards us, pushing out through the heels. We can take this top hand down to the floor, and we're going to slowly lower down so that our left hand or our bottom arm is supporting our head. And now see if you can bring your body into a straight line. So you might have to lift your head up and kind of look down the line of your body. We're going to bring our hand to the top of our hip or to the floor to help us balance. And then we're going to let ourselves kind of stay here in a side-lying mountain pose or side-lying Buddha. And so we won't have to do much, but we'll feel our body really actively working. Maybe noticing that there's some wobbling back and forth. Letting that be okay. Feeling your legs work, your core work. When you feel ready, bend your knees in towards your chest. We can roll over now, letting our arms open out into a T shape. We'll come onto our back with the knees bent here. And we're just going to slowly drop the knees from side to side, windshield wipering them back and forth. Noticing the effort required from our side-lying mountain pose. Letting our breath return if we were holding it at all. Again, recognizing the strength of our attention and our focus. Experiencing the strength of our body in subtle ways that we often take for granted. When you feel ready, making your way all the way over onto the opposite side, so you can simply roll to face the opposite long edge of your mat. I am going to turn and face you. You can start on your forearm here, getting your legs situated, pulling your toes back towards your shin, trying to line everything up, so heels, knees, hips, and shoulders. And then when you feel balanced enough, you can come down onto your bottom arm, letting your head support around your ear here, so try not to put any pressure directly on your ear. And now you may find that one side is more challenging than the other. You can use your top arm to help with the balance. Getting yourself situated, finding your vision focused. It's okay if you're struggling a little bit. Let that be okay. Let's take one more round of breath. With your next exhale, you can slowly roll onto your back, taking your feet to the floor once more. Your arms can open in a T shape and we can rock the knees from side to side. Now, coming back to center as you feel ready, we're going to slowly roll all the way to the side of our choice and come up to sit just briefly. Finding our blanket now, we're going to create a little roll to go underneath our heart. And so when I do this, I recommend not having it at a super high height. We've already done some back bending to open this area of the body, but we're feeling fragile. We don't want to go in there with a sledgehammer. We're going in there delicately. And so let's go ahead and just roll it just a little bit. So you're only really going to create maybe like 2 inches of support, so not too much at all. We'll extend it across our mat now, and we're gonna try to line it up approximately underneath the back of our heart. So almost in the space between your shoulder blades. And now if you have additional blankets, I recommend covering yourself up. You can slowly lower down onto it using your arms for support, and then allowing your head to relax back down behind you. You can let your arms open beside you if that feels good. Feel free to kind of play around and adjust where your support is. If you have some excess, you can wrap it around yourself if you like, as I am doing. Kind of feels like a little hug. And then we can let the arms relax beside us here, thinking about the shoulders releasing onto the floor, keeping the back of the neck nice and long. Take a few breaths to release any tension that you may be holding, if possible. To let your eyes close if that feels comfortable. Allow yourself any last adjustments that you might need to be comfortable. And then when you feel ready, see if you can watch yourself breathing, releasing the need to control your breath, and simply becoming a witness, observing the peace of your being. Slowly begin to deepen your breath, inviting your awareness back to this space. You can start by wiggling your fingers and toes and noticing how it feels to be in your body now. Taking as much time as you need, slowly building your movement. We can meet on our side in the fetal position, taking your time to get there. You can keep your blanket right underneath you. Taking just a moment here to feel grateful that you made the time to be with yourself today, to practice, to notice, to be. And then pressing your top hand into the ground, go ahead and slowly come up to a seated position. You can cross one foot in front of the other. You can sit on your blanket if you need some support. Joining our hands together in front of our heart. Once again, maybe resting in this place of gratitude that we made it here. That even in the softness of our own fragility, we may also feel secure, knowing that we can return to this place of checking in, of noticing, of simply being. It's been my honor to guide you through your practice. We can acknowledge one another with Namaste.